All right, here we go, doing something new. I'm making an actual piece of content. You guys ready for this? This is Cyanite, D.va One Trick Extraordinaire, and we're going through the top 7 reasons you should learn D.va now. Number 7. D.va's got insane offensive ability now. You're able to always be up at the front line. You're able to be putting in your maximum effective damage and not suffer for it either. You see there, like, I'm able to just get out too. Even though, unfortunately, my tank's not making it out, I'm also able to do things like pressure that Doomfist and take him out, just because I got that incredible mobility, and I haven't sacrificed or even fed all that much while doing it. So be where you can be to get picks and do lots of damage, building ult, keeping shields under pressure, really just keeping the enemy team under pressure. Moving on. Number 6, defensive positioning is so much easier now. Like, I'm able to track down people who are in my backline. I was going for the Hanzo, didn't really see him at the time. End up pressuring out the Doomfist a little bit and able to overall keep my team safe from otherwise uncontested flankers while still being in the fight. Like, going and doing that didn't really take me all that far away or take all that long. And especially on other maps where there might be a little bit more spread out engagements, D.va is just going to be that much more of a presence that enemy teams have to take into account for. They can't just have flankers going for free at all angles. Of course, this always relies on game sense, but with the 3-second cooldown combined with how often you have Matrix up right now, it's so easy to just always be there for your team when they're needed. Gist of it is, there's so many things you can do and not be punished for. Like things like taking a charge, turning around, flying back, matrixing for your team when there's a tracer back there, or even saving someone from a Doomfist. If you can just go back and matrix his follow-up shots after he's knocked someone in the air, you can make a huge difference in the flow of the game for your team, keeping your backline up, and then get right back into that offensive side of things. Number 5, you are able to solo shut down people going for their ults. You might see some examples of that later on in this gameplay, but the number of times I've been able to now go in as soon as I hear a soldier using his ult, a McCree using his ult, Pharah, Widow, like, just being able to go and deny these people. Like, the big ones are probably Pharah and McCree, where you can go in and just completely delete them before their ult gets any value, or at least prevent them from getting anyone else on your team. Obviously, Pharah, you can just be there and deny her entire ultimate. Number 4, you can always have the high ground. The high ground in Overwatch is so important. It's one of the most valuable and one of the simplest methods for positioning yourself for an advantage over the enemy team. It's just being up high does a few major things. For D.va specifically, you're able to get a lot more value out of your missiles when you're hitting into the ground instead of trying to aim at a target horizontally. So being up above the enemy team, you're hitting the ground around the enemy team, you're building up a little bit your poke and ult, and at the same time, you're not going to be feeding as much because you're not just in line with the rest of your team taking incidental poke and spam. Now, there's a downside of that too, and an argument to be made for just sitting with your team when you're playing more defensively, because you're able to eat more damage that would be aimed at your team. You're able to prevent your teammates from taking as much damage. Being able to have the high ground on maps where that's valuable, places like Dorado, Numbani, here on Havana, various parts of King's Row towards the 3rd point and even the 2nd point, really helps split your opponent's attention. When you split their attention, obviously, being able to just go in and follow up on those kills like that is fantastic. I'm sure you've had in your games those times where there's like a Widow or a Hanzo or McCree, someone who's up top and no one's doing anything about it, and your team just ends up folding underneath these picks coming out of nowhere because no one is up there, no one is able to see it, and your own DPS trying to contest that from the ground. It's like, again, those high ground people have the advantage. You can be that presence too, forcing the enemy team to now have to pay attention to attacks coming in from both sides. Number 3, you can always just fly away. Just looking at my health bar there, I realize I'm getting a little low, taking a lot of damage. I just fly away. They're not gonna get me, and that's really, really huge. Like, there's so many times before where you're having to predict out a whole 5 seconds into the future what the state of the fight is gonna be. That's kind of tough. That's really tough. But again, now your boosters being on a 3-second cooldown and Matrix being able to last for a whole 2 seconds. I've been hearing a lot of chatter, and I'd have to agree. Probably the best way, the safest way to play D.Va right now is very defensively, just making sure that you're always alive. Instead of always going for the aggressive offensive picks, playing a little bit further back with your team, just making sure that you're denying the enemy team those little bits of ult charges. They're spamming damage at you guys, and then being able to force them to take into account your Matrix before they can use their ultimates freely. D.Va really does shut down so much of what enemy DPS and even tanks are going to do. Think about Roadhog, think about Orissa's halts, halt hook combos, think about Grav, May's ult, Pharah's ult, all those ultimates, all those incidental little abilities that can otherwise end up in picks. Things even as simple as like Soldier's Helix rockets. Those little abilities can't be used freely, or will only get maybe value half the time, or whatever percentage of the time, depending on the skill level of the D.Va, which even if you're only eating like 1 in 5, that's a 20% reduction in the effectiveness of a lot of heroes. Like you eat 1 out of every 5 halt hook combos, or one part either block the damage from the spam after the hook, or you block the halt itself, or even just blocking like 1 out of every 5 Pharah rockets. The higher you go up in the skill tiers, the more consistently people are hitting those shots. Usually, the more consistently that really is just a 20% straight reduction in the damage or abilities or the ult buildup of someone or multiple people on the enemy team. So really just being able to stay alive. You see me getting in and out of all these ultra risky positions just because I'm able to play up and down from the high ground. Being able to just move around freely is really the best way to describe it. You're free to really just be creative and be wherever your team needs you, or wherever you feel like you need to be. And oh my gosh, being able to take advantage of nanos like that too. Just, oh, people melt. Spent a little long on that Reinhardt, but still able to clean him up. Yeah, it's just so nice to be able to be wherever you want to be. Number 2, you respawn faster. You're able to just reset, get back to the fight, and be there for your team in less time. That was one of the things that made Wrecking Ball so powerful, his ability to just continue contesting. D.Va now has that almost that same level of potent recontest and ability to just rejoin fights and be there for the team. So yeah, honestly, especially for me as a hyper aggressive D.Va player, that effectively reduced respawn time is huge. I might be dying. Well, I'm dying a lot less than before because I'm able to stay alive more, but those 3 times that I do, I'm able to just be back and playing more Overwatch, contributing to my team, and staying alive. And that just sort of feeds into all the other points I just made. Number 1, the number 1 reason to learn to play D.Va right now is that a lot of people still think D.Va's bad. So she's probably either going to get buffed again, or at the very least going to stay the way she is, as other things are getting nerfed, as we saw recently with the Orisa and Sigma changes. So I think D.Va's honestly in a really good spot, if for no other reason than that the way she is now is probably the way she's going to stay, or she'll only get better, and we'll all be able to have a great time playing her for a long time to come. All right. So little bit of a joke on that number 1. Thank you all for sticking that out if you were here all the way through to the end. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll be trying to do a little bit more of this type of content in the future when I can find the time and energy to do so. Let me know what you think in the comments, and like, subscribe, check out a stream. Schedule is posted underneath my Twitch page. I'll try and get that in the description, but until next time, guys,